Hi guys, and welcome to another Robert Bryan Talks About ... Now today I'm talking abouting, as Alan Partridge would say, Gary Numan. Now anybody that knows anything about me knows I'm a big Numanoid, especially the early period. I mean I like all of it, and I've seen him, through all the different Numan eras live most of the time, as well as obviously buying DVDs and records and CDs and blah blah blah. But it's those early days that I want to talk about, really, my formative years, because I first saw him on Top of the Pops. I would have been 9 years old, so 1979. He was singing Our Friends Electric, and then a couple of months later he would be on there #1 again with Cars. And those first two albums, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, Replicas and The Pleasure Principle, really kind of blew my mind, and I find that I still reference some of the sonic and percussive ideas in those albums to this day. And when I'm working on my solo album, which I am at the moment, I find that I'm still using some of those ideas now in my drum parts, in my synth sound choices, and things like that. So imagine a 9-year-old Rob Bryan sat in front of the, at 7 o'clock or 7:30 or whenever Top of the Pops was on, with my tea and biscuits, and then this character comes on, and I love Blondie, The Police, Boomtown Rats, Dexys Midnight Runners, you name it. I loved all those bands. They were all great. The Stranglers, it was ace. It was exciting. And you'd go to school the next day, and on the Friday you'd be talking about it, But there was something about when I saw him perform with that steely kind of cold image, holding the mic or just arms by his side, staring at everybody. Now, some older people, my cousins for instance, would have said, "Hey, that's a bit David Bowie. Do you know David Bowie?" And I would have gone, "Pah, Bowie, who's that? Psh, it's all about this man Numan. This is where it's at." And the same thing with the wall of sound, which was the synths. That was the other thing that hit me, was just that, and it was just like, blimey, what is that? It just sounds like the future. And again, someone a little bit older would say, maybe you should check out Kraftwerk or early Ultravox and blah, blah, blah. But again, when you're young, I was 9, I just thought I knew everything. So it was Numan for me. And I'd go out and buy Smash Hits and Look In, which were two really popular magazines then. And I would take out the lyrics from Smash Hits and put it on my wall, and any little pictures or Numan articles I'd put on my wall. And if I went to Bath on Saturday with my mum to visit my nan, which most Saturdays we did, she'd allow me to go to the local record shops and maybe buy a poster or like a little sort of postcard image of Gary Numan and stuff. So it was great. And badges, when badges were a thing, or pins as they say in America, those were really cool. And I'd have loads of those, and I would draw the Replicas image or the belts that were on the Telecon album that go across. I'd draw that on my school bag and things. But anyway, so these days, how does Numan still influence me? Well, loads. I'm in the studio a lot, and I'm working on my own album at the moment, as we know, in between other things. And I still find I'm referencing his synth sounds, whether it be the strings, like on Cars, or whether it be, the really low, scary horror film kind of sounds as well. All that you would have got from, Moogs, Poly Moogs, and, all those different Prophets and all those synths and stuff. And he made me really, I think before, because I talk about John Lord in another one of these clips in Deep Purple, who made me fall in love with the Hammond organ. Numan made me fall in love first with pianos in general. I mean, I love guitars, don't get me wrong. Any of my guitarist friends knows I'm mad about guitars. But, I'm also mad about pianos and synths. Wurlitzers, Vox organs, the whole world, all that stuff. I just love it. Clavinets, I could keep going on. It's like a massive toy shop of instruments, and I'm jealous that, okay, drummers, we have drum kits from different eras, and, some funky ones like Vista Lights, and the ones that sort of come out like that. I can't think what I forgot where I was going with this. So we could do a little edit there. So Numan's kind of sonic palette is still ingrained in my head, and it's ingrained because of a few albums. The first one being this one, replicas, which he made when the project was still called Tube Army. And he had a very different look with the blonde hair. And I remember some of the kids in the 4th and 5th year at my school, Corsham School, comprehensive in Corsham, obviously, going round with this look, and I thought it was really cool. And one boy had the park written on his bag like that. And I love this album because there's loads of different things in it. There's the reflection in the window, but in the park there's also his hands. I don't know if you can see it there, with his nail varnish sort of folded in together, you know. That's kind of cool. Ooh, I think they call it Easter eggs, I don't know. And this image on the back, which of course I guess we could think is a slightly Blade Runner type idea. Checking the eyes, you know. Is he lying? Is he real? Is he human? He was a big fan of Philip K. Dick's books anyway, and many other sort of dystopian novelists and so on, and sci-fi. And I think it was the fact that it was sci-fi. It was the synths, it was his voice, which didn't sound human. Non-human Numan, that's where I'm going with that, and it was just so different to the rock and roll punk thing and the new wavy thing that was happening, which was all exciting, and I love it, and I'm going to do some clips like this about those things. But this was just something else, and the playing on this album is actually his uncle, Jez Lydiard, I think his name is, and I used to sit, and my dad used to go tap on the floor the patterns for me, and I'd listen to them and go to the drum kit the next day and try and play them and stuff, and put it on the record player, headphones on, playing along to all these songs. Just brilliant. And I got a bit obsessed with this period of time because I ended up buying rarities like the Down in the Park 12-inch, which I think is still quite rare. I just love that jacket as well. He looked so cool at that point. And even going as far as finding I think it's Australian, gatefold of the same album. So I became a bit of a fan of Numan from that era, and I got a few picture discs as well. And the other album, of course, which another one that most people know. You know, these are the two classic ones, really. Pleasure Principle. And both of these I bought back in the day, and they look like it too. But I don't mind. They've been well loved. I've taken them out of they've usually got plastic sleeves, but they've been well loved, well looked after, well played, and I love it. And this is the one with Cars on it. Our Friends Electric was on Replicas, and Cars and Complex, the two singles from this album, were obviously on here. And it smells like 1979. And if you've seen any of me and Chris's record reviews, you'll know what I'm talking about. So Pleasure Principle, again, great image, love that. And there he is there. Oh dear, it's falling apart, isn't it? Better get it back in the plastic sleeve quick. But I remember reading the back of this, and they were playing sin drums. Let me just get my glasses a second. And I thought, what the hell is a sin drum? And synthetic percussion, that's right. And I used to sit there looking at this thinking, oh, what is that noise? And then on songs like Metal and Cars, there was this sound, which I just loved. And found out later, it was these sin drum things that they were playing. And I saw the Touring Principle DVD, or video as it was then, or probably Betamax or something. And there was the guitarist stood there when he wasn't playing guitar, had these two pads that he would hit with sticks, and he's got this massive kind of, and that was it. I was sold. And of course, then a little while later, I discovered Prince, who then I discovered was also a Numan fan, and apparently in 81, 82, around that period of time, he used to sound check with Cars, which is kind of weird. It's kind of cool. And I think he famously said that we don't yet know how influential Gary Numan was to popular music as yet, and that's from Prince, But he too liked that sound, which he got from a Lindrum, and he used it in the same way as Gary Numan would, like every 2 bars on beat 4, boom, da da dum, da da dum, da da dum, dum, da. It kind of became a thing. Or you did it on beat 2 of the first bar of a 2-beat loop or something, or you could make it a 4-bar loop, whatever. So that clap became a thing, or that sound became a thing that was sort of in a cycle, and it would keep coming back, and it was kind of a really cool thing because of things to have going on in the track. So that was quite exciting. I really liked that. All that wall of synths. on Replicas, the way he was using like a punk distorted guitar along with the synths is also something that should be mentioned, because on Pleasure Principle here he did just go straight to synths, and the only thing on it was a bass guitar that was like, you know, from the guitar world. Whereas on Replicas he was using, literally apart from the bass, he was also using electronic guitar, distorted and whatever punky sort of vibes with the synth. So when the two worked together, it was amazing. So between these two albums, and of course they were both acoustic drummers on both albums, even though they had the synth drums. So that started my love of synthetic, you know, electronic drum sounds with acoustic drum sounds, which again I will mention when I do the Prince one, which is important, but it really came from Gary Numan first. And as a Gary Numan fan, of course, I have to mention, because some people did ask me about this back in the day. Now this is another quite rare album called Photograph, as you can see. And anyone that knows me from my Siouxsie days may recognise this. Now obviously I wasn't the first to do this. Maybe Gary wasn't the first to do it. Maybe David Bowie was the first to do it. Who knows? But this look with the red stripe, he did for the I Die You Die video in 1980. And I remember seeing it on Top of the Pops again. And I just flipped out, and I went to school the next day, and all of us were talking about that red in Gary's hair, that's so cool, my God. So when I was working with Siouxsie, I remember I was up in Glasgow, or Edinburgh, no, Glasgow. We were gigging in Glasgow. And I think it's at the ABC up there, I can't remember the big, the gig, it might be an O2, I can't remember, about a massive mirror ball, huge one on the ceiling, you know, hanging from the ceiling. It was massive. But anyway, we were up there, and I think I was still in my first year of touring with Sue, and I remember Gary doing this, and I thought, I'm going to do it. And I remember going into Boots the Chemist or something, or one of those places, trying to get a recommendation of some hair dye and so on. And anyway, her hairdresser Mark eventually did do the style for me, dyed it blonde and then put it in, because I just wanted it to be noticed. You're on drums, you're at the back. I thought, how can I get noticed? I don't want to be just flailing my arms around all the time. I'm doing that anyway, you know, flailing. Let's have something else. So I did this and kind of stuck it up a little bit. And yeah, so I have to say I kind of borrowed it from Gary. So even then he was influencing me in my professional career, image-wise as well. And I'd wear the makeup and the nail varnish, a bit like Replica. So boom, what can I say? Just in that last 2-minute bit, you can see how much Gary Numan's influenced me in my music. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you feel like you want to go and check out some Gary Numan. As normal, please leave some comments below, and we can start a conversation about what you think about Gary Numan, what things you like, what albums you could suggest, and so on, because there might be some things that I've missed. So thanks a lot, guys. There'll be another one of these soon. On who, I don't know. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.